Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am trying to make this video so that hopefully this stays up so I can comment on it, because this is part of the problem that I'm talking about. Because not only is this a problem with politicians with lying and saying a bunch of buzzwords and platitudes, it's people too. And so I just made a video today, and I titled it, "Did I Just Destroy Andrew Cuomo and His Policies with COVID and Lockdowns? Come and decide for yourself." And I don't have a lot of people who watch. I've got 21 so far right now. I don't know what it is right now. I've had this up for a little while because this is the second time that I'm making this. And so I wanted to look at R. Simpson here, because he has no idea of what he's talking about at all. And I just couldn't leave a comment because there's just so much to unpack with all of this. So if you like my videos and you're tired of lies and you're tired of the BS, then like, subscribe, become a member, thumbs up. And I'm going to tear this person apart because I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care if you're a politician or some Joe Schmo off the streets. If you're going to lie, I'm going to call you out on it. I don't care if it's intentional or not. So let's read this moron's post here. So from R. Simpson here. So go ahead and say hi if you want to. I don't care. Do whatever you want to. No one gives a shit, you slumlord. It's like, gives a shit about what? About COVID and the lockdowns? It's like it's all over the news. What are you talking about? No one gives a damn about New York or Como? What are you talking about? But he doesn't specify, because he doesn't do that with anything. You are a slumlord. It's like, how am I a slumlord? What are you talking about? This is one of my rentals right here. I live in the worst rental that I have. Why? Because I want as much money as I can. And so I keep the other places fixed up a hell of a lot more than I do this, because I don't care. Because I don't need all that stuff. Because I'm not materialistic. I don't. This is just an investment for me for my retirement. Slumlord. It's like, I don't have properties in the hood. My properties are all in good parts of the town. You know why? Because there are people who rent for all kinds of reasons. This piece of trash here has just made the assumption upon himself that I know you and I know what you're about. You know what my tenants are? All of them are short-time renters. You know why? Because there are people who rent because they're in college, and it's like, I'm not going to be living here very long. After I get my degree, I'm going to go ahead and move on, and I don't want to buy a place. Because if you buy a place and you're not even there for 2 years, then you can end up owing more than whenever you first bought it. Because whenever you have to go through tax, title, and transfer of deed, and the inspections and everything else that's involved with the commissions with the real estate office to buy and sell, you can end up owing more than if you had just rented a place. So it depends on how long it is. It also depends on the market. So you need to look into all this. And for college students, it's like, it's not worth it at all. Short-term tenants. I had one tenant who just left not too long ago, sold their house because they wanted to build a house, but they didn't want to have multiple places. So they sold their house because they wanted the money from that to be able to do the down payment for being able to buy a house. But they didn't want to buy another house while they were waiting for their other house to buy. And they needed the down payment, and they had it in that. So they just sold, and they were like, yeah, we're going to rent a place. We're going to rent a place much cheaper than what it was before. So because it's like, we don't need anything big and expensive. We want to put as much money as we can into this. And so it was temporary. People also live in temporary places because it's like, oh, well, I've changed jobs and I've got a new job in this city, and I want to be able to be familiar with the market before I commit to buying a place. Or somebody has passed away and they want to downsize, same thing. It's like, I'm not in a big rush to buy or anything like that, and so I don't mind looking around until I find a good place. Or I've had several tenants where going through a divorce, and one of them is ending up with the house and the other isn't. And so until they dealt with the divorce, they don't want anything to do with it. And that's something that's going on presently with one tenant. And this other tenant, she took the place because her child and grandchild are living there because they were having a hard time, and her place wasn't big enough and this place was. And it's a temporary thing because whenever her child and grandchild get going, she expects them to be going their own separate ways again. But until that happens, then they're all kind of living together and they're sharing all that. And what about the other one? There's another one where they moved in from Florida, and so they don't know what they were doing. And I thought they were actually married, but it turns out they were dating, but they had kids together, and now. So, and I'm not going to give any of their names. I never will, because it's none of your damn business. And what did I have before that? Another one was where they had moved from another town, was cohabitating, and they needed a place enough for all of their kids, and that relationship fell apart. And another one where there was adoption going on, and then they grew up because they were already kind of older, and so after they got done with high school, they actually left and they moved out. And then another one was his father died, and so he took his mother and was like, "Yeah, go ahead and come and live with me until we figure things out." So no, it's that's all it's been. That's all it's been. And so this piece of trash person who knows absolutely nothing about me, it's like I haven't had tenants more than live there for probably more than 5 years. And you know why? Because they're all stories like that. They have no desires to just be a renter forever. It's just they need time to figure out because something has happened, and they just want a little bit of pause to deal with their emergency or their situation, and then they go out and they buy a place. The scum immediately below cops are landlords. It's like, well, until they get to you, and then you're below everybody, maggot. So, I'm kind of defeating the purpose. It's like, well, I guess they're throwing their opinion out there. So it's like, well, let's see what you can have. Let's see if you can deal with it. Because I tell you what, I'm just mopping the floor with you. No one should possess more land than they can live on and feed themselves. Okay, so that makes absolutely no sense. That is communism. Because communism is to each their own, or to their own abilities or something like that. In other words, you divide everything up. It's all communal property, and you only do what you can do for yourself. And it's exactly this. It's that you should go and live off the land, and you should be able to feed yourself and be responsible and do for you, and that's it. And it's like, well, then how long is it going to take you to make a burger? It's going to take you forever. You know why? Because first you have to get cattle. Then you have to raise them. Then you have to butcher them. Then you have to also grow the food to be able to feed them. You also have to grow the wheat. How long is it going to take you to grow enough wheat from seed to harvest? And how much of it? It takes a bit just to make one bun. And then to grow the tomatoes, the lettuce, and the biggest part is just the beef. How long is it going to take you to get a calf, a newborn calf, raise it to being fully grown? Because who's going to slaughter it early? That's a privilege. That's excess. That's nonsense. It's if you're making the most out of it, then you want it to be fully matured. So how long is that going to take for it to go from a little calf to a full-grown cow? It takes forever. Okay, now apply that to everything else instead of this little fantasy world that this moron has no idea that he's talking about. How long is it going to take you to build your computer from scratch? Where you go out and you mine all the copper and then you make it into the wires and the computer chips and all this other stuff. How long is it going to take you to make a car? To dig up for all the metal, convert the iron over into steel, to put them in their places. How long is it going to take you to make rubber so that you can make your rubber hoses and brakes and everything else? How long is it going to take you to make glass? How long is it going to take you to discover the cure for cancer or any other cure for that example? The reason why we have so much that we do is because people specialize. And the more that people specialize, the better everything is. Because there are some things that it's so complicated that you have to go through all of high school and then another 8 years of university to get your PhD, and then you get caught up at the leading edge of wherever that field is that you're dealing with. But not these fools. Hey, we all want to live in the dirt. We just want to die from anything because we can't even do penicillin because we're just spending all our time working and growing food and nothing else. How long is it going to take you to rig up your place so you have running water, electricity? How long is it going to take you to build solar panels? It's like, you're an idiot. How about this? Let's say we give a homeless person a home. How much land do we have to give them so that they become smarter, so that they can manage it? You know, this is what people do all the time with the homeless, is that they give them money, and it's like, why? Where does it say that homeless people know how to manage money? Where does it say that? Where's your proof? I have proof as to why they can't manage money, and it's there they are on the streets. If they could manage money, then they would not be on the streets. And I know that they get money, because I had a friend who opened up a convenience store on the boulevard, and there were homeless people who came in all the time, and they would come in with these large wads of money all the time, because they would panhandle, they would get it from friends, from family. Sometimes they would just get it because maybe somebody in the family had died, or someone they knew that they died, or they just flat out stole from someone. And you know what they did with it all the time? They would come in and they'd buy these little glass tubes, usually like with a little stem of roses or something like that, and they'd buy a Brillo pad, and then they would go and they would shoot up their drugs. Because you have to have a glass stem and a Brillo pad in order to do some of this stuff. They never invested. They didn't care about owning a home. Tim Pool talks about this stuff where he's had friends who did not care for 1 second about getting their life together, owning a property, that they knew how to play the system, so then they could get whatever it is that they wanted, and then that way they didn't have to work or do anything. And they were just privileged. That is exactly what they are. All these homeless people and all these people on welfare benefits are privileged. They say, we're kings and queens. And it's like, yeah, you are. Because you have everybody working for you so that you can sit around and do absolutely nothing. You are getting things for free. You're worthless pieces of trash. Every last one of them. I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. I have sympathy, though, for the people who are mentally disabled. And it's like, for those people, it's like, yeah, you know what the answer is not? It's not leaving mentally disabled people out there on the streets. Those people need to be taken up, and they needed to be put in something like a retirement community where it's walled off, protected from predators, and it needs to be other people just like them. They don't need to mix them up with anyone else. And it needs to be very child-esque. It needs to be a bunch of toys and games, and that you're going to be in bed at like 10:30. There's going to be no alcohol, no cigarettes, no drugs, and you're going to have to get up at like 10 o'clock. And it's going to be cartoons and video games. It's going to be something that's going to be that any functioning adult is going to look at it and be gross. It's going to be like, this is disgusting. It's because even though you have the body of an adult, that does not mean that you have the mental acuity of an adult. Doesn't mean you have the emotional stability of an adult. That's why you can find people who are physical adults and they throw tantrums like children all the time. They have no control whatsoever. They are completely reckless, just like a child. They will scream and shout and yell. I've even seen some of them where they'll just fall to the floor and just flay around like an idiot. And it's like, those people deserve to be locked up. Not in a prison, but in a mental institution. And if for some reason, if somebody is there by accident, then here's a checklist of things that you can do. And these are things that every single adult does. So yeah, they might get you up at 10 o'clock, but you're going to have to get up at 6 o'clock. And then you're going to have to do a morning routine like everyone else. And you're going to have to be ready to go by 7 o'clock because you have to be at your job at 8. And if you can do this routine from start to finish for all day, then the next step would be, all right, well, go out and get a job and start saving up your money and show us that you can handle your money and start saving up money for a down payment for a place, for wherever it is, and get yourself a car. And whenever you do all these things, and it's not reviewed by a committee, you don't get a committee approval with this. The only thing that someone will do is just to make sure that everything on that checklist is being done. And so it's all 100% up to that person. And so if you can do all those things, then yeah, you're good. You're gone. You've done these things that everyone else does. You got a job, you saved up your money, you've got a down payment, you've got a car, you've furnished your place with your own furnishings, you got rid of everything that was being furnished there by the facility, and you've replaced it with your own stuff that you've purchased. and you're cooking for yourself, and you're doing your own cleaning and your own laundry and everything else, and you're sufficient where you're dependent or independent, then yeah, go ahead. Nobody's approving. It's just off of you. And so, go do this in high school. Go find a high school student. Find the worst performing high school student there who's got the worst grades. And keep giving them all your land and your money until they're a straight A student. How much money is it going to take to make that failing student a straight A student? How much land does it take to make them a straight A student? I want to know this magical unicorn number that you have. Same thing with these people. How much money do you have to give a homeless person when they're not homeless anymore? How much money does it take? Where they're going to go out, they're going to buy their own place, they're going to take care of it, they're going to do what they're supposed to. How much money does it take? Because these people also have problems with drugs and alcohol. How much money does it take to sober somebody up so that they never drink again, so that they never do drugs again? I have never heard of this at all. How much money, how much land does it take to raise your IQ? I'm waiting. It's a lie. It's like, are there plenty of people, though, who are homeless, who are capable, and they got screwed up because of bad system? Yes. Why? Because politicians lie all the time. Because they don't care about doing what's right or wrong. They care about just owning a place. Or they just care about owning that position, that they just want it there. They want to be there because it's a Ponzi scheme kind of thing. It's just a scam. People are homeless because of greedy landlords. Where are the cops telling these people that they can't buy a place? It's the same thing with the pay gap. It's like, I want to know how much every single adult in their 40s that are doctors, how much they're making each year. Because there's a pay gap. It's like, yeah, there is. But everything about it was a lie. It's like, there's a big difference between pediatricians and brain surgeons. They're both doctors, but brain surgeons get paid more. And guess who tends to be brain surgeons? It's a male-dominated field. You know what's not going on? There are not cops at universities saying, you're a woman, you can't go to school to learn to be a brain surgeon. It's not there. It's not happening. It's just like, there are no cops at hospitals and clinics saying, oh, you're a girl and you want to go be a brain surgeon? No, you can't. We will arrest you. It is not going on. It's just like with that Super Bowl commercial with Amy Schumer and Seth Green, where they were drinking Bud Light. It was a Bud Light commercial, I think, or some beer commercial. And they were talking about how, did you know that women hygiene products cost more than men? And everybody called them out and said, you know what, if you want the cheaper product and the men's is cheaper, then buy the men's. Because there are not cops at the stores at Walgreens or Walmart or whatever saying, oh, you're a woman, that's meant for the men, you are going to be arrested. Nobody's stopping them from buying it. The reason why it costs more is because they have different ingredients. Why do they have different ingredients? Because women's skin is not like skin. Just because it's the same, because it kind of looks the same, doesn't mean that it is. It's different on a molecular level. For one, it's thinner. Two, it's more sensitive. So it's easier to scratch women, and they have men are more resistant to chemicals than men. And maybe it's because men's skin is also thicker. It's like women have less issues with color blindness. It's like 1 in 10 women are colorblind, but like 1 in 4 men are colorblind. And not only that, but women can see colors brighter. Men and women are not equal. So, people are homeless because of greedy landlords. Everyone's greedy. Everybody collects stuff. If you can only have so much land and so much property, then why stop there? Because by that logic, it's the same thing for everything else. Well, you should only have so many cars. You should only have 1 car. You should not have 2 for any reason. You should only have 1 bike. You should only have 1 video game. It's like, it's still entertainment. It's just 1. You should only have 1 movie. You should only have 1 TV show that you watch. You should only have 1 computer. You should only have 1 chair. You don't need more than 2. How are you going to sit in 2 chairs? No, you only need 1. You should only have 1 bed. You should only have 1 of everything. Stupid. You are no better than the scum above you that is oppressing you. It's like you have said nothing. What is? Do you have a point? Is there an issue that you're talking about here? Because you have not said one thing. Every last bit of this is your opinion. It's all just a bunch of buzzwords and platitudes that have absolutely no meaning to it at all whatsoever. That's why it's just profanity and buzzwords and just F you, I hope you lose everything. Because that's going to make everything better? Show me in history where communism has worked. There are communist places right now, and there have been several in history. Show me where that has worked. And I will show you plenty of capitalist societies that just blow the pants out of them. So, for example, North Korea. They look like trash. Here. So here is North Korea, which is a communist state where they claim to divide everything up, and they do more than the communist countries do this more than any other countries in the world, where they divide stuff up. Here's South Korea. This is a night image from some kind of satellite or picturing thing during the night. South Korea is lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. And North Korea looks like it's a bunch of cavemen that live there. And this is something that has been shown time after time after time again. Because the only person who's responsible for anyone is yourself. And if you don't have something, it's either because it's your fault, or perhaps you were born that way, or you had some kind of accident, and people should step up, the society should step up and take care of them. But if you're not mentally incapable, then it's on you. We'll go ahead and go with this. Cops are below cops are landlords. Okay, well, since you want to talk this way, well, below landlords are you. People who think that you're just privileged. It's like, why should people just get land? Why should people just get housing? You know what? I'm not your slave. And I don't owe you a damn thing. Nobody does. And that's exactly what happens with all of these welfare programs. It's like, I'm too good to work. I don't want to work. You give me your money, and I'm going to do whatever I want to with it. Now, there is a lot of problems, though, with our society. We are not free at all. We are definitely moving more and more communism all the time. There's no argument for welfare. There's no argument for minimum wage. There's no argument for more taxes. All you do is create inflation, which makes everything more expensive. It should be the other way around. It should be deflation. A great example of this is just with video games like Minecraft. You buy Minecraft, it's a one-time purchase, but after that, it's free. And you can build whatever you want. And just kids come up with these incredible, crazy things that they build, and it's huge and gigantic. And they go crazy. You know, it's like, imagine if the space shuttle cost $1. So you could afford to buy the space shuttle. What else would you be able to do? You would be able to go to space. If the space shuttle cost $1, you could go to space. And what if everything else was just as cheap? What would you be able to do? It would open up so many possibilities. This is something that I just saw, because I know about this stuff, is... Here's a video from Timeline World History Documentaries, and you can look this one up, how the Americans outproduced everyone else in World War II. And they talk about how Hitler made everything very price-controlled oriented. It's called German Economic Miracle. And it talks about how during the war, Hitler had instituted food rations, limiting its civilian population, and it also did right here price controls on their goods and services, leading to shortages in a black market. And then they, after World War II, came in on a Sunday, and they took it all away, and they got rid of all these price controls, everything, and they just let people do whatever. This guy Eckhart or whatever is the one who came about this, and he was able to talk the government into doing this, and they came in Sunday because the Allies were not there, and so they didn't need their approval for this, and so they just came on in and just got rid of all of it, and they just freed the people to do it. They didn't say no more price control with anything. Just do what you need. Okay, that's great. And then it just boom. They did this after World War II, after they got wiped out and they lost everything and they were bombed into oblivion. This isn't a debate. It is hands down been proven that a capitalist society is hands down better than this socialist communist nonsense where no, just everybody just needs to take care of themselves. Oh yeah? How much food do you have to grow again before you get smarter? How much food does that take? How much crops do you need to grow? If that was the answer, then that's what we would have instead of school. We wouldn't have school. We'd say go farm. It's ridiculous. And so this here, R. Simpson, vote this guy down. I'm going to leave it up. I'm not going to take it down at all. And if you see him again, I don't care what you do. I'm not going to do anything with it. This is a reason, though, why I am going to build my own website with this stuff, and it's because I'm not going to allow for this. If this was my site, starting off, it would be I'm just going to boot people like this off, but it's going to change whenever it gets bigger. I'm not going to boot anybody off. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the ability to be able to ban people or to ignore them or whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to give the options to the people. And it's because I'm not going to stop people from giving their opinions, because you never know whenever somebody is actually giving something worthwhile, this person isn't. This person is just hate-filled whatever. This was something that, what was it? They were talking about the left and how the left's answer to everything is that they were just going to kill people. Oh, you don't believe in me? Well, somebody should kill you. It's like, that's not an answer. You're a murderer. Same thing with this person right here. This isn't an answer to anything. This is just somebody who's just being hateful. I don't know what's going on with their lives. I don't know what kind of education that they had. I don't know why they don't understand this, but the reality is that this isn't that unnormal. This is somebody who hasn't been watching my videos at all, because I tell you what, I got some. Look at my video with climate change. There's a video that I have about climate change, which is just, this is trash. There is a company in Australia who's come up with a chemical that can break down plastics that turn it back into oil, so it can be completely reused again. They reversed the process. There is a guy in India who's 22 years old, and he's going around cleaning up all of these rivers and ponds and lakes and stuff from all the trash that's there. 22 years old, and he's just doing it himself. Well, he started off by himself and with some friends, and he's brought in the community, all with everyone who's around there, and he's cleaning these places up. You know what? It's not this. It's not yelling. It's not yelling. It's not screaming. It's not name callings. That does nothing. This is just some child who's having some kind of temper tantrum. It's like, list it. list the things that need to be done, and then give your evidence to back it up. And with the grand site that I'm going to build, it's like this isn't going to go anywhere. There will be a section for opinions, and I don't care about anybody's opinions. But you can, people who are, they can upvote and downvote, because if somebody does have something, it's like everybody will upvote it, and we can start looking into it. And for something like this, it's like, yeah, it's going to be downvoted. And there's more that I have to help deal with this stuff, because as far as I know, this is probably some stupid high school kid living in their parents' basement. They don't have a clue about what the world is like at all, and it's like, so, but I just wanted to show this because this is just such a good example of how people have misinformation. And just, I don't know, this is, my video was talking about COVID and the lockdowns. I'm not making a video about my properties with this. This isn't it at all. So, what does he think? So here's an example. What should I be doing instead? How should I be giving information to people? He doesn't give any examples of this. So, yeah. So be warned. I mean, at least I'll give him this. At least he showed something. It's just like people who just give a downvote and then they don't say anything. That's just so worthless. It's like giving the upvote. It's like, well, yeah, what are you going to say? I agree with what you already said. It's like, well, yeah, we all know why you upvoted, because you agreed with what was already said in that video. Well, why did you downvote? What do you have a problem with? This guy's not talking about COVID. He's not talking about the lockdowns. Just nothing. And so I've done this before where I've called this out on people. And so, yeah. It's been a while since I've done one. Thought I'd do another. So if you too are tired of anybody just lying about all this stuff and the manipulation and the BS and all this stuff, then give the video a like, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to make this smaller. I'm just not showing it. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up. I've got Patreon and Subscribestar. And the website, it'll be something like a forum. It'll be extremely plain, rudimentary stuff. And I'm going to have all these topics and issues with politics. And I can't do it all. But it's going to be a good tool for everyone. And it's going to be run by the people. A lot of it's going to be by the people. I mean, whenever I get a significant people on there, it's like, it won't happen with just like 5 people. It's like, well, this is the truth. It's like, no. It's got to have checks and balances with it. So if you too, as I say, I'm not trying to change your mind about anything. I'm not trying to even change the skies about anything. I'm just trying to show that there are lies, and I don't care if they're intentional or unintentional. I'm calling them out, and this is not just with politicians. It's just every Joe Schmo out there. So at least kudos to him for saying something. I wish it would have been better than this, because it just, what am I supposed to do with this? It's like, I don't care about your feelings. I can't control that you're scared or that you don't have money. I can't do any of that. I can only control myself. What was it in that Marvel movie? Which one was it? Civil War, was it? And they divided up into the 2 teams. And Vision and Wanda goes into it, and Vision says something like, they will always fear you. And Wanda says, I can't control their fear, only my own. It's like, same thing with this. I do not care if you're scared of cops or landlords. That's your personal problem. I do not care if you don't have money to buy property. That's your problem. I can't do anything for you. You have to do it yourself, unless if you're mentally incapable. So, thanks for watching. Catch you again later. Bye.